Welcome, everybody. My name is Chad,
And my name is Miki.
and we are Crypto and Couple. Thanks for joining us today. Today, we're going to be hosting our first episode.
No, second.
Second episode, right.
After a long time.
After a long time, long hiatus. We're going to be getting on to the basics of Bitcoin, and I will be asked several basic questions going for the introduction, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to my lovely wife, Miki.
Oh, you call me lovely. I love you. With the last episode, we talk about how Chad first knew Bitcoin and how I was introduced to Bitcoin, because I thought nowadays it's really easy to hear about Bitcoin because the news is talking about it, celebrities are talking about it, but you heard about Bitcoin back in 2011. So we talk about how we were introduced to Bitcoin. But today we are going to be more basic, like all the question people will have, which is, what is Bitcoin anyway? Has anyone asked you hey, what is Bitcoin anyway?
I've had that question many, many times.
How do you answer to the question? Because it's so big question. If you answer in 3 sentences.
Where are you at and how much time you got?
No, but they want to know what is it?
So
it's not I want to make money with Bitcoin, what should I do?
Usually it's out of just curiosity or lack of education within what our current financial systems are like, because you never actually ask the question, what is money? Because when you do ask that question, usually your mom or dad would say, well, it's the stuff that we use, that we earn and pay for things. Okay, where does it come from? Well, that part's not really answered, and nor do we think about that. So when you ask what is Bitcoin, you have to challenge the idea of money itself. You have to deconstruct what our current system is on in order to actually appreciate what Bitcoin brings to the table. And so Bitcoin not only will ask you about what money is, but then will start to challenge so many different aspects of life, from technical to political attributes as well.
But if someone wants a simple answer for what is Bitcoin or what Bitcoin is, what would you say?
I would say Bitcoin is a distributed, decentralized open blockchain that records transactions which are uncensorable, and that has a monetary network that cannot be changed, but unless undergoing tremendous amount of consensus. That's definitely a mouthful.
Yeah, but you know all the fancy words. I'm I need to write it down and look up all in the dictionary.
So, if we were to take each part of those and break it down, then we're able to figure out what it actually is and how it works, because there's other technologies preceding Bitcoin that made it. And one of those is called BitTorrent, and that's a decentralized system where you can go out and you can download stuff on the internet. And it's just basically little tiny pieces of information spread throughout the internet, bringing it into one, and that creates your illegally downloaded song, or maybe a big mass database for a scientific co-op. They would use the BitTorrent network. Well, Bitcoin is derived off of one of those many technologies, and so that's what decentralized is. It's you host a little bit of it, I host a little bit of it. We go into, it's open. Anybody can download the network. You can be able to send transactions at any time, and nobody can stop you on that. That is a very important point to Bitcoin, to which none of the networks out there, such as PayPal, etc., can do. the PayPal has a way to just shut it off and make you cut off from all your money. As long as you, with Bitcoin, there is no central authority that can dictate those rules on you.
But isn't Satoshi Nakamoto is the center of Bitcoin system though?
Satoshi Nakamoto.
Okay, yeah, so Satoshi Nakamoto, he's not my uncle. Even he sounds Japanese and I'm Japanese. He's not my uncle. And no, name is not Satoshi Nakamoto. My name is Miki. And, yeah, so who is this? Who is that guy?
Satoshi Nakamoto is a pseudonym for either a person or a group of people who created the first iteration of the Bitcoin software as well as the white paper.
Did he create a blockchain system, or did he bring it up that, hey, with using blockchain to the currency, we can make it work? Like, did he start Bitcoin or did he start blockchain, or both?
He was able to bring together several different points of there was Adam Back's Hashcash. There's of course the BitTorrent network as well, and then several other technologies that came together in order to create Bitcoin itself.
By the way, we are streaming this on Spotify or Apple Podcast, but if you want to see some screen we are seeing right now, you can go to our YouTube so that you can see some screen we are looking at right now.
What's really fascinating about this, and this is about 8 to 12 pages long. There are quite a few pieces of it which, if you don't know calculus or have a heavy technical part, it may be hard to grasp, but it does define of how the blockchain works, which you have the owner's owner number one's public key. It hashes in through the signature and is able to actually send out a transaction to the next block. And what that does is that creates what's called the blockchain. It inserts transactions that are signed by the owner of a private key, and that gets verified by everybody who participates on the network and validates those transactions. And those transactions are validated by the miners. So lots and lots of stuff when people ask what's up.
So blockchain was born first, but they did not know how to use it, and Satoshi Nakamoto said that maybe we can use it with currency.
Proof of work existed first, which is using the CPU power of a computer in order to secure a network. Then Satoshi took that and added it into with the blockchain in order to secure the blockchain itself. So we have BitTorrent, which is the distributed open network system, and then you got Adam Back's Hashcash proof of work, which adds the security layer to it. And then you have Satoshi's contribution, which is the blockchain itself, which are the recorded transactions that are connected to each other all the way down to the first Genesis block.
Interesting.
That was a lot.
That was a lot.
It was a lot.
That is really complicated to hear how it started. What was the hardest thing, for you to understand when you were studying about Bitcoin? Not about reading the chart or seeing the market every day, because that's it's hard because you cannot really tell 100%. But what was the hardest thing for you to understand about Bitcoin in the early part of your journey?
I definitely know this, and it's not the how Bitcoin works, but why. Why is Bitcoin so significant?
Did you
And
find the answer?
yeah, there it was quite interesting because yeah, as I spoke about earlier, you had to get to know the problems with our current monetary systems that we live under, and then you also remove yourself from privileged places and see how other people live in other places. That's say Venezuela with the hyperinflation under the boulevard, or Cyprus with haircuts off the top of their bank accounts. You get to understand all these stories of totalitarianism that's brought on people. When you're here in America, using the world reserve currency, you tend to not worry about those things. So it was hard to answer the question of why was this important. The realization of what I just said, plus the fundamental properties of how Bitcoin works, specifically if its scarcity, I mean, it's limited just to 21 million. That is a very fair monetary rule that anybody could be able to get behind. And you cannot change that whatsoever. So now we've identified some features and stories to which that answer that question of why is Bitcoin important to me. I would say that if I did not discover that or know if it was up front, I probably would have ignored it. Because the rest of the introduction that we just talked about was how it works, and nobody really talks about how to send an email using this protocol through that, blah blah blah. They just hit the send button, and I expect the same thing. And people will know the reason why rather than how later on, because the how is going to be much easier, in my opinion, and it has become over this last 8 years.
Interesting. Yeah, because like I agree with like, because whenever I tell, okay, so like you introduced me about Bitcoin back in 2016, and I was not as passionate as you to tell people about Bitcoin, but whenever I tell people about Bitcoin, they always ask me questions like how it works and not like the why Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And when I remember you told me that like you don't understand everything about how internet works or email works, but you use it anyway. But why do you use it is important. That's why, because that's why you use it. And I was like, I tried to explain that to my friends, but they were like, yeah, but like how this, that. And I'm like, it is really hard to explain. I recently read a book and learned about like how blockchain or Bitcoin actually works, like that hash function. And this and that, and I was like,
Takes the magic or the mystery out of it, but then it helps you build those, that the fundamental blocks of how things work, or even the relationship between it. So it's hard to convey that to which people don't want to pursue, and this is definitely a topic that is not brought up at the dinner table. And of course, when I was first dating you, I didn't want you to get bored or run away. So
I'm glad you didn't do it for the first 6 months, because
me too.
since you brought it up on the day one, you were non-stop talking about
Gushing. Here's my true feelings, Bitcoin.
Well, so you talk about like decentralized is obviously the key when you talk about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. let's talk about altcoin.
Altcoins.
Okay, so in the short answer, with a short answer, what is altcoin?
Anything not Bitcoin has been determined an altcoin.
So altcoin is basically created by a company or by the system
Or by other individuals or
other individuals
or groups
right?
of people. Yeah.
So for me, when I hear that, to me it sounds like it's centralized currency. Would you agree with me?
I would say
Because it's owned
for the most
by
part.
individual.
Yeah, for the most part. And I think there is a lot of projects that are out there that are not viable.
You're not talking about Dogecoin, aren't you?
I can't believe that thing's still alive right now. It's been 7 years since I touched that stuff. So, but there are, so you got one hand that is just complete and utter BS. And then on the other hand, you got some really cool stuff, but those are very few and far between. I do believe that within the cryptocurrency space that it can be one network and many chains. So there are other current cryptocurrencies that are doing some really cool stuff. And I like what they're doing, and I want to encourage them to keep going. It's just hard to see it's hard to recommend the speculation on things like that when I'm looking at Bitcoin for the new novice people that are coming into play as a way to get started.
Yeah. So like you are Bitcoin maxi ish.
I would say, I mean, the portfolio is still 100% Bitcoin, in the space, but I still admire the other technologies. So, full disclosure, and who knows, maybe the portfolio might change a little bit.
So to answer this question, the next question, you're free to Google it too. But do you know how many altcoin out there?
7,000 projects, I think.
So like people can create cryptocurrency like really easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very, very easy.
Let's make one.
It's certainly possible. The Mickey and Chad token, that'll be great.
Coin and Chad coin. Chad coin would work.
The Chad, Giga Chad. Yeah, anybody can spin up their own altcoin, and depending on how you use it, you can really get yourself into trouble with the government, unless you really do your homework. Some things, such as giving out tokens and promising that the value would go up or that they are part of a piece of ownership of something, well, that would be called a security or like a stock. And so other times you'll see, hey, I'm going to put out this token, this is going to be the new Bitcoin, and it never catches on because who would want to nobody can make another Bitcoin. It's too organic, it's been out there too long. It cannot be replaced for that function. But the altcoins, there's some like I said, there's some really cool stuff that's going on that they've been able to do. Fundraising, money markets, with the NFTs, collectibles of ownership. They're not completely decentralized, but they're still so awesome that you can't ignore what they're doing over there.
So like whenever you bring up like the cryptocurrency as a topic on the table with like someone, like friends or new friends, people like usually ask you like, oh, do you have like, what do you have, like Ethereum, Doge, Ripple, Monero, this and that, like what do you usually feel like when people ask like, oh, I have Monero, I have Listcoin, I have this, that. Do you feel like,
Oh.
good for you, or do you feel like F you, or
No, not at all. I certainly welcome anybody to do what they want with their money on it. I think there's a lot to
if you have to buy a couple coins.
Oh, now you're putting me on the spot now. If I had to buy any altcoins, maybe on the next episode, I'll say.
Wow.
As for what I feel about some other people owning it, yeah, no, it's just not for me. I want to make it easy, particularly jumping in and out of altcoins and positions. I just don't want to deal with the taxes in it. There are many other areas of research that you have to dedicate yourself to it to make sure that it is good.
That's true.
And so at that point, I'm not gonna dog on anybody of entering into other altcoins. I just think that it is just much easier to earn fiat, buy Bitcoin, and then just keep living life.
Do you think it's really important to look up like about that coin before people buy it? Like what kind of coin is that, or what's that?
Oh, just YOLO into it. Don't
Spin
the wheel.
So when I started using or started buying Bitcoin since 2016, and I have owned not only Bitcoin but also Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin. I always wanted to buy Dogecoin, but I didn't know how to. And there were maybe there were places to buy in Japan, but I didn't know because I didn't do any research. And I remember you asked me that, like, why do you have Ripple? And I said, I love the name. Or I didn't know, like, literally anything about Ripple or Litecoin, but I bought some because it was cheap or the price was lower.
Ah, the good old unit bias.
And then, okay, so I have rigid justification for Ethereum, which is I thought it's not good to have only one currency on the portfolio. And I wanted to risk hedge and divide or so
Diversify.
That's the word. So for example, I thought it would be better to have, for example, US dollar, Japanese yen, and maybe euro. Not only like USD. That's one of the reasons why I did Ethereum. But I didn't really know what Ethereum is and that. But do you think that is the smart move? I know the answer why I'm asking this. But do you think that if you can say anything to me like 3 years ago, what would you say? Do my research.
I think you just learned, what you learned by your experience. And I think that there's going to be many, many people out there that are going to do the same thing. It's called paying tuition. So.
Oh yeah, I paid the paying tuition.
And I think when it comes to financial education, if you're able to burn your finger on the stove, you tend to try not to do it again. But if you really want to cook something good, you're going to keep going back to the stove. And it takes Yeah, it takes a lot of time to figure it out because you got Bitcoin, and then once you actually get a handle on that, well, let's now talk about smart contracts, and then the layer two solutions, and so on and so forth. It just becomes you know so hard, and some of my friends who dedicate their hours on it, I admire them to do that. But for those of us who just say, "Oh, it just got listed on Coinbase. It's got to be good." Well, be wary. Be wary of that.
Yeah, yeah. So talking about Coinbase, so that's like one of the platform you can buy Bitcoin in the States.
Correct.
Where else you can buy Bitcoin?
Kraken, Cash App, Gemini, and then I think there are probably about like 4 or 5 others available. Has PayPal does not allow you to take custody of your own Bitcoin as of right now, and same with Robinhood. It's only just like paper dollar exposure, so it's not real Bitcoin. And there are other high end custody solutions such as Fidelity. You have to be qualified with so much amount of money in your account to be able to get those solutions. What I recommend overall is to sign up for as many of those solutions because the market dynamics, when it gets exciting, it causes the exchange to go down sometimes.
Yeah.
So you can't access Coinbase when there's a lot of people using it. So having the ability on Cash App to hit buy or sell on that will be a very, very good tool to have when you're getting into it.
How many platforms do you use or you have an account?
3 at the moment right now that are completely active, and but I still use Cash App in order to do the little buys on a daily basis or weekly basis.
If some of the listener wants to start creating an account today, like which or how they should choose or what they should see, what they choose, which platform to sign up.
Well, they should go through our affiliate links at cryptoandcouple.com.
We have not done it yet, so do not go to the website yet. Maybe I will.
We'll get it soon. But I would.
So without thinking about affiliate link, what's your genuine recommendation?
Yeah, I would say Cash App is a very, very good one. The question is do you want to hold on to your Bitcoin or do you want somebody else to hold on to it? And when it comes to recommendation on that is really hard because some people don't want to deal with holding on to their Bitcoin. It's a lot of responsibility because you have the power of being your own bank. The problem is you're your own bank. And so you have a lot of responsibility for doing self-custody and having your own hardware wallet. But if you want to have Coinbase hold on to it, just remember, if they think you are doing something bad, they'll shut down and take your Bitcoin away. They can certainly do that. So got to make choices at the beginning. And if you can't make that choice, educate before you do it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, well.
That's all the question I got for today's episode.
It's a lot to take in with what this beginning subject is. And so little bits at a time, and don't get overwhelmed.
And please educate yourself, maybe. And I would say, do not think about do not think about be a billionaire next month. I feel like people...
Certainly not.
There are so many people who come to crypto space to think that they can be a billionaire next month or so. That's why they're like, altcoin. or like Dogecoin, Dogecoin, Dogecoin.
You certainly learn to when you're able to get that time preference and are able to stretch this out to something that's a 4 to 6 year range rather than something within just 3 months. You'll begin to set forth goals and make life a lot easier when it comes to it. But certainly, if you want those, you know, those gains or being able to preserve your monetary value, you got to be able to ride through the whole entire bear markets as well and know what they mean. And so, I'm sure we'll get over to some other strategies like dollar cost averaging in the future. And
Yeah, for sure.
looking forward to telling you guys all about that.
Yeah. For the next episode, we are going to talk more about mining, because there are so many people who wants to do mining, include some of the family member or friends too. So like we are going to talk about what is mining anyway, or how it works, or what kind of equipment you use, or is it actually worth it or not.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Until then, I'm Chad.
I'm Miki.
We thank you for joining us here for another episode of Crypto and Couple. We hope you join us the next time. And until then, we love you all.
Sayonara.
Bye.